All right, everybody. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the OS Talk. We have a very special guest with us today. We actually have the creator and lead developer of the game, Peppy, with us. How you doing, Peppy?
Hey, good, thanks. How are you going?
I'm doing excellent, and as always, we got our buddy Charles here with us too. How you doing, Charles?
Hiyo, doing well.
All right, so we'll get right into it today, and we've got quite a bunch of questions for you. And so I hope you haven't heard too many of these before, but the first question is, how long did it take for the first stable build of OS to be created?
What do you define as stable?
Well, I mean, something you went and were able to show your friends, not something that you released to like the general public, but something where it was working enough to where you could show it off.
Yeah, okay. I think I started like one night after I got home from university, and I started working at about 7 p.m. and by like 2 or 3 a.m. I had something working. So it was pretty fast to get the first stuff out, and I gave that straight to my friends. So they were playing like right from the start.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't realize it took. I mean, it's a simple game, but I don't know too much about development myself, so that'd probably be better with Charles. I know he's dabbled.
I think dabbled is a very generous term to use.
All right.
Yeah,
well,
I don't know. Like it's pretty easy to get something working, especially with something like OS, where you don't have to worry about the graphics too much. It's just a very simple game concept that you get together. Obviously, it didn't have all the bells and whistles, but you could still play it and have a bit of fun.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was a big fan of OS Takadeo and Elite Beat Agents. I loved them both, and I mean, I would have been pretty psyched to see something like that, even if it was just. I mean, I've seen little Flash games and web browsers every once in a while. You'll see them, but they never really get done.
Yeah,
I have to say it was very exciting when I first found out about OS, just to see the gameplay on YouTube. It's entrancing to see the clicking on circles. It's like, wow, so you click on circles in time with the music. It was very different to see on the computer.
And well, speaking about how you built it and everything, so how much time went into, well, not so much as time, but OS has gotten a lot more accessible as late. I mean, it runs on almost anything. But when it very first came out, I remember my first toaster, I was running a really old computer. I couldn't run it right away because OpenGL wasn't introduced at that point. And
yeah.
So how long did that take? Like, was that something that was done in the first year, or did it take a lot of time to get OpenGL incorporated?
Yeah, I can't actually put a date on it. I mean, if you look back probably at the history page on the site, you'll find out this stuff. But I know it took at least a year, I think, to get OpenGL in there. And the main reason for that was, like, even with it not running on some people's PCs, it was still a relatively low percentage of people. So it wasn't that high a priority at the start. It was also a pretty big switch to make to actually add OpenGL support. I don't think it had been done before for an XNA based game, so it may have been the first XNA based game which had OpenGL support as well. It was kind of a hack job at the start, but at the moment it's a pretty solid framework.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's gotten leagues better. I mean, I can before, and it might have just been my computer, and everybody else has different setups and rigs, and that's kind of trouble when making stuff for something. But I couldn't run it at OpenGL for a long time, but now as times went further, it runs so much smoother. I can either use either render and not have too many issues.
Actually, I did want to bring up. Oh, I'm sorry. You can continue.
No, go ahead.
All right. I did want to ask, because you said you're using XNA, and this was with the C# programming language, correct?
That's right.
Yes, I was wondering, did C# treat you well when you were working on the OpenGL support?
Yeah, it was pretty easy. Like, how do you say it?
Straightforward?
Yeah, there are a few libraries out there which already did OpenGL, so I kind of took them on board and copied a bit of code from it, like some of them that were out there, and then just kind of felt my way for the rest of it. Because with like .NET and C#, you can actually pretty much use C code or C++ code and interact with the existing frameworks out there. So if you know what you're doing, you're not really limited by using .NET or C#.
That's really cool.
All right, and we'll move on to the next question for you. Do you have any plans to create anything outside of Oz? I mean, I don't know
Wizard
exactly.
of Oz.
Wizard. Oh goodness. But yeah, are there any other games in the Peppy repertoire?
Yeah, I've got a heap of ideas for games which I'd like to create. I mean, before I made Oz, I don't think many people know, but I did make a lot of other games. There were small ones, and I think one of them is online. If you search hard, you might find it. But like in my high school days and early university, I was making other games. And even now, like, I do get a lot of ideas, but at the same time, I'm so busy with Oz and I'm so dedicated to it as a project that I don't see myself ever working on another game unless something was to happen to Oz. At the same time, I'm like the biggest thing I would like to do is make a more of an MMO, like RPG kind of game, because I was a huge fan of Ragnarok Online. I don't know if you guys played that, but
oh man,
I did a couple months ago. Actually,
I spent a couple months. That had to be private server. You didn't play Vanilla RO?
Nope.
Ah.
I was far too young for those days.
Vanilla RO was amazing.
I feel like I missed out.
You kinda did. I mean...
I have to say, I do appreciate that because, I'm sorry, RO has one of the most profound exploration elements, so I can understand why you would really like to seek that out.
Yeah, I hear the official servers are still going. I have a few friends that play on it occasionally. I don't know how many people are still on there, but they are out there.
Alright, so the next question, it's a little bit on the personal side, but what was life like before Us? I mean, just basic everydays, like, did this drastically change how you do things?
Yeah, well, I think we just touched on that actually, because before Us, for the probably 3 or 4 years before, I was a complete Ragnarok addict. So I played it like every hour I was not at school or at work, I was playing Ragnarok.
Okay.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So when I started working on Oz, I pretty much transferred that dedication to Oz, I guess. Like a couple of weeks into starting development, I just stopped playing Ragnarok completely.
Oh man.
It's really exciting.
So,
you go from something really fun to something pretty fun. That's really great.
It's hard to drop an MMO too.
Oh jeez.
It is. But I didn't actually find it like, it wasn't a daunting task because I had something else I was focusing on now, and it just made sense at the time.
Okay, well, I'm looking through some of the questions, and I'm going to skip ahead on some because we've touched base on a few of the things, so not to seem redundant or anything. So moving towards the future, do you feel that Us will really become the ultimate music game? I mean, I've had a lot of people that play 2DX or O2 Jam, Jubeat, and a lot of them really enjoy Us. I mean, they say like it's got a little bit of everything, and that's why they like it. But do you think it'll actually end up going higher than that?
Well, I don't know. Where do you think of Us at the moment? In terms of...
Personally, I feel that it's starting to get really big. I mean, well, I mean, it is really big, but I mean, back when I started, you got to remember, there was like maybe 500, 600 people online at a time, if we were lucky.
Actually, yeah, you know what, you're right. Right now is really a huge growth of the game, far more than I personally have seen in the past few years. It's growing rapidly at this very moment.
I mean, don't we have like 12K people online right now?
I think we'd hit 16K on certain occasions.
Oh man,
that's incredible. So many people.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry.
The growth of Us is like all over the place recently. We've like I don't really monitor statistics that much, but I did set up a few scripts just so I could keep a watch, and I follow, like, rather than looking at the number of accounts created, it's not a really reliable stat. So I just look at the number of like unique users in a month, and I think we're currently at about 700,000.
Jeez.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And even
That's
in a
excellent.
day, it's something like 150k, I think. So it's these people aren't just playing once a month. It's pretty constant.
And another part of growth is we recently did the OS tablet, and those came out, and a lot of people got to get those and got their hands on them. And I personally enjoy mine very much so. But did you think the turnout and demand would be as large as it was?
Yeah, I was expecting it, and I think there's still demand there which I haven't met. And I guess I have to apologize to people who are still trying to get one because it's really hard to handle something of that scale. And I'm working on getting a team together which can actually do it. But so far, I've had a few issues with both with people and just the shipping process and the manufacturers in China. There's been a few problems, so I'm sure we'll get them ironed out, and eventually we'll just have tablets for everyone. But hopefully.
Oh, that's going to be great. I mean, I really do enjoy it. It's lightweight,
Yeah.
and I haven't had any problems with the battery or nothing like that. I mean, I still have the same AAA that came with it.
Yeah. The first run was definitely like really good build quality. The second run we had a few issues, but I think we figured them out. Hopefully the next time it'll be a lot better.
Okay, Charles, would you like to take a couple questions? I feel like I'm hogging all the voice time here.
Sure. Actually, I do want to jump right to a next one, and that since you're talking about how there were so many people on the game, and there's just such an active amount of users, surely there's some on the game that you haven't really met in person, someone that you'd actually like to meet? Is there anyone that you've wanted to meet for a while?
I would love to meet everyone on the dev team, especially. I haven't even spoken to a lot of them, like, vocally. So, yeah, I don't know. The people I converse with a lot, I'd love to meet up with them. Because, I mean, after you meet someone in person, it changes the way you perceive them and the way you interact with them. But
Yeah.
other than that, like, I'm not going to say anyone in particular because that would probably be very biased. But I'd love to meet everyone who helps make Oz run. I'd love to have like a convention where we could invite the whole BAT team and like all the chat mods and everyone. That would be so awesome.
Oh, that would be crazy.
You did have one of those a couple years ago, didn't you?
Oh,
There was
it
a
was-
big BAT meetup.
It was a
was
slight
it?
meetup. I think they did it at
2009?
was it in New York? I
08,
think?
09?
Well, I remember it was Op, Remy, I think Falcon went too. And these are a bunch of old names. Probably nobody, unless you've been here with us from the beginning, a lot of you guys
The
might
core
not even
team.
know to this. Yeah, it's like the old school core team. And they were really good people though. And most of them have moved on, but they definitely made a good mark. And talking about marks, that'll bring us to our next question. What would you say so far for you has been the greatest moment in development, just playing it, events, anything? Or do you feel that that's yet to come in Oz?
That's a hard one to answer. Can I get back to that? I'll have to think about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
why
problem.
not?
That's not a
I
problem.
can't pinpoint one moment in time, but like I think the best thing is the fact that it's still growing and the fact that my favorite moments in Oz history is when I see other people bringing something to the community which they've designed, or like something which really brings enjoyment to other people that wasn't my own thing. I really like the fact that the Oz community can produce so much awesomeness, and yeah, when I see something awesome, I really enjoy that.
Well, that's good. And the next one's definitely a lot easier to answer. What kind of music do you like to partake in?
I like pretty much any kind of music, but I guess my favorite artist is Chatmonchi. I'm sure you all know that, which is Japanese rock. But other than that, recently I've been listening mostly to dance music, I guess.
Okay. And so we've actually touched base on a couple of the other questions while talking, so I'll go straight to 15. We do have a question about Uppy. Do you plan to keep that running, or will it eventually close?
Is it still running?
The last
yeah.
time I checked, yeah, it's still running. People still actively use it too.
I
See, that
actually
was
I have a ranked map that uses one of Uppy's images for its description, and it's been there since 3 years.
Yeah, that was my first project, I guess, that I released to the world, and it's been running unmaintained all this time. So if it's still running, then it probably will still continue to run until it breaks. An interesting story with Uppy. Last time I needed to do some maintenance on it, I think someone was trying to find a file in the Uppy history, and they wanted me to search through it because it's really hard to find an old file just by scrolling down forever. So in order to do that, I had to find the server, and it took me about 30 minutes to actually find which server it was running on. I completely lost it.
Oh man.
Wow. So it's just
pretty
this
much running itself.
It's an
So it's like
incredibly
an endless
stable
abyss
site.
of like pictures and music and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I guess one day it's going to run out of disk space or something, but we'll see what happens.
Okay.
What would
and
happen?
It would probably just explode. I mean, not like physically explode, but
I think it's in someone's basement, so let's hope it doesn't physically explode.
yeah, that would be bad. And the next one, and I really want to know about this one. This one's really got me intrigued. So this was a long time ago when Multi first started. There were talks and there's all kinds of discussions about power-ups and multiplayer modes, like towards other things. And we, like you said a lot, like if people watch the Japan Expo, you said that you have a lot of stuff in store for the next year and coming up. Do you think anything like that will multiplayer power-ups be something that's even just played with?
Yeah, I definitely think that should be done. I mean, I started adding it in probably in 2011, 2012, and some of the code already has like power-up support, but I never actually added the power-ups themselves into the game. And I think before that happens, I probably want to redesign, like, the game UI is going to be redesigned soon. I think I've mentioned that before. But yeah, I'd rather finish redesigning that and getting the multiplayer lobby and the match setup screens just in a format where we can actually add more features without it feeling cluttered.
Yeah.
A
Like in the
giant
same way
drop-down
with-
box.
Yeah. In the same way I changed the options menu, so now we can add infinite options. I'd like to kind of have probably a scrolling setup for the match setup screen just so we can do the same. And from there, like the actual adding of power-ups and the coding of the power-ups into the game will probably only take a day or two. It's a pretty simple process. What makes it harder is adding like spectator support for it and adding all the configuration in and the server-side stuff. That part takes the most time.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I'm completely, like, that goes over my head when it comes to coding and all that stuff. I mean, I've looked at stuff, but it's like a foreign language to me. But
yeah,
I mean, it's really cool, though, that you can talk about that and say that it's something that can possibly happen. I mean, there's probably going to be floods of replies on the episode when it goes live. They're going to be like, oh, man, I can't wait for these power-ups. I mean, because that was something I really enjoyed on the DS version. I used to always beat my little cousin. We'd verse each other, and I'd always make everything tiny on him, and he'd get mad.
Oh, that's so mean. Oh, man.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah, I can imagine like a double time power-up that like suddenly speeds everything up.
That would be hard. I can
That
just
would be
imagine
hard. Unless
that
it's
would be...
unless it's a gradual increase, and then I think base would start crying. The DLL.
I have a really weird memory of playing Oendan on the DS multiplayer and having, like, whenever the power-ups used to hit, it would cause, like, frame drops as well. I don't know if you guys had that.
Oh, yeah,
So
no.
the hardest part wasn't actually the power-up, it was the loss of frame rate that came with it.
Yeah, because I used to... Oh, I can't remember the name of that song to save my life. It was the one where the kid had... He was having, like, a bad dream, and he was going to pee his pants, I guess. You know what I'm talking about, though, right? And,
I don't remember that much, actually.
that one, like, it really had really bad frame rate drop in multiplayer. Like, if you had got a full combo, you were just done. You were losing that. Mod or no mod. Okay, so I'll move it on a little bit.
Before we move on, though, but touching on the power-ups, I think it's been brought up recently in feature requests, and it's getting quite a lot of attention. And I mentioned, I think I posted in there, I haven't checked back yet, but we had, like, I made a post probably in 2008 asking people for suggestions for power-ups, and I'm pretty sure we got, like, over 200 or 300 suggestions. So I think we should probably dig up that thread and have a read through it. It would probably be interesting
Oh,
to see if
yeah.
they're still valid to this day, even.
Yeah, I mean, the ones that come right off the top of my head are like shrinking stuff, changing the direction, possibly invoking flashlight. That would be really mean on somebody. Rumble, where maybe it like the notes shake. Like you could get really crazy technical with that stuff.
Yeah, and at the same time, did you ever play, I think it was called Tetranet, the Tetris multiplayer app?
Was that on the DS?
It was on PC.
Oh, PC? No, I have not.
I think it was called Tetranet. It had a similar thing of power-ups, and what made it really fun is you could see everyone else's game fields as you were playing. So when you applied a power-up, you actually got to see what it was causing the player, like all the grief it was causing. And I really would want to add that to multiplayer and have like mini game fields of each player if I was going to add power-ups. So that's one thing which like is a prerequisite for adding power-ups, I think.
Yeah.
Actually, some of the shenanigans that some friends and I have on like the online Tetris, they still have one, and the fact that you can see the power-ups and hear the screams of your friends in voice chat is always fun.
The screams of their anguish brings you joy.
So we can bring those screams to OS. Wow, that's incredible.
All right, and another one that kind of goes on with the power-ups and everything. People want to know if there's ever going to be any new mods. We have Double Time hidden, and I know the recent 2 mod additions that were kind of added was Perfect, which if you don't hit a 300, you're done. And then Nightcore, which me and Metal Mario kind of worked on. I sort of regret that now looking back at it, because sometimes it works and sometimes just sounds really annoying.
Great.
And I think my favorite part about the Nightcore mod is what it does to every red timing section. You always get a finish every time.
Right.
It's amazing. So yeah, do you have any plans for new mods of that nature?
Well, if you look on test build, there's already target practice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I had been wanting to ask about target practice. I mean, I know there's probably something somewhere that I should be reading that would tell me more about it and thing, but it just, for right now, what I notice is that it does take all the notes that have been applied. It just does not generate them in a specific order, correct?
It's a constant beat.
Oh, it's a constant beat?
It is, yeah. So it takes out the whole rhythm, well, I guess the alternating patterns that people into the maps, but it does take hit sounds from the map itself. So you still get a decent sounding map, I guess.
Yeah. And I assume target practice is to basically help with the aim. I haven't messed with it too much. I need to use the test build more often. I mean, I used it quite a bit when I was messing around with Yuzu, but other than that, I haven't really messed with it too much.
Actually, let me take a moment to recommend that everyone uses the test build. I'm actually working on making it more accessible, so you'll be able to change it from the options. I don't know if you've looked in the test build, but you can change your update stream, I think it is, or update.
Oh yes,
channel.
I have seen the valid update stream and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I'm planning on making it more accessible, so more people are willing to switch to it, I guess. And I'm considering actually removing the supporter requirement for it as well, because I really want to get more people testing new features before they go live. To try and get rid of bugs, and also just to I don't know, things like target practice, which aren't going live anytime soon. I'd like to have more people play it.
Yeah, and that's good. And the last bit of this is a little bit on the sides of older features and stuff that people had wanted to be seen. And this one is super old. I think it was brought up a long time ago. Loginer was actually working on a dancing character model. Do you think that would ever be something that will see a creation?
Yeah, sure. I think the best lead we have right now is probably Abirat, because he is pretty good with 3D stuff. So if he was to pick up on that, then we'd probably see something in the game.
That'd be really cool. And I don't know, depending on how easily editable it'd be. I used to make custom 3D. Well, it wasn't really that hard because they were just bone files from DDR. and I put in custom 3D guys, and you were just editing the PSDs and just wrapping it around that 3D texture.
Actually, would that also mean the inclusion of 3D support in general in OS?
For like storyboarding or?
Well, I mean, I feel like if you have the dancing models, it would probably be 3 dimensions, wouldn't it?
Well, I mean, OS is already 3-dimensional. I mean, there's no game which runs in 2D on PCs because it's all using 3D APIs at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, that is true, isn't it? Oh.
So like, I don't think I've ever made videos public, but I've got like, I've tried actually putting OS into 3D space. Like, OS uses internally, it has like a depth sorting, so every hit circle gets a different depth value, and I extrapolated that out to actually make it like 3D, so you could rotate, like just tilt the playfield, and you could see the hit circles being on top of each other when they were stacked and stuff. And it looked pretty cool.
Oh, that does kind of seem neat.
You just imagine, wow.
Yeah, because I've always wondered, like, what would OS be like if it was actually in 3D, rather than having like this approach circles, just having the hit circles being further back in 3D and having the playfield constantly coming towards you. I think that would be a really interesting way to play it.
That sounds really neat. And then with the whole idea of 3D, going off a little bit of a tangent here. There was a puzzle game that had it was like 3 dimensions. It was like Tetris, but it was circle. I mean, there might actually be a circle Tetris, but the entire playfield.
I think there is. I think it's called Tetrisphere. I think it was on Nintendo
Tetrisphere, yeah.
It was great, and I could just imagine something like, I don't know how well that would work, but like I could imagine that like on a touch screen being able to like pull the field and get to where the note is and then tapping it. It'd be kind of like messing with a big Rubik's Cube. Almost.
Oh, jeez.
All right.
A note on the other side of the cube, and you're done.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Right.
You definitely can't have any Blue Dragon jumps on that.
Hey.
And
you're responsible
like,
for them too. Yes, you can do.
Speaking of 3D, like I also had ideas for kind of doing I guess it's close to Catch the Beat in 3D, where you're like a character and you have to, like every beat in a song would be a jump, and you're jumping from platform to platform, so the platforms are hit circles, kind of. I think that would be a cool one as well.
Oh, neat. That kind of reminds me. No,
I'm trying to think of an example, because there's a couple.
Well, no, because I thought like jumping from place to place, and then I thought there was this one music game that was 3D, kind of like that. I can't remember the name of it for the life of me, but you fought to the beat. It was a fighting music game. It was very weird, but it was very neat looking. And I can't remember the name for the life of me. If I find out, I'll go ahead and put it down in the comments or something. But I'll go ahead, because I know there's a bunch of people up there that are probably wanting to ask questions at this point. And we'll ask the final question here.
Are you sure you don't want to bring up the obligatory question that must be asked?
The obligatory question that must be asked?
Yes. Because we've seen you've heard this one a million times before. So we've seen part of the particular hold note, and I guess the question is, would there be a time when we see that in the game?
Okay, that's an easy one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely want to get holds in this year. If you played Oz stream, like very soon.
Wow, that's exciting.
It's going to be very similar to our stream, but I have a specific way I want to implement holds, and I think it's going to be really fun to play, because like Oz stream is the iOS version of Oz, which has like multi-touch support for those who don't know. But in that, holds work really nicely because while you're holding, you're actually tapping out the notes, so it doesn't get too boring. On PC Oz, like holds are just going to be the equivalent of a quick repeat slider, whatever you call them, Etna sliders, I think we used to call them.
And I thought Etna sliders were just sliders that, lots of sliders in a row. But yeah, we do use small repeats to create a hold motion for sure.
Yeah, so it won't be like that. It'll be slightly different, but I'm not going to give anything away.
Oh, the secrets.
Secrets
to be revealed this year.
Yeah, that'll just let you know to keep up with the test build, because if it's going to be anywhere, it'll be there first.
Yeah,
so.
It'll definitely be on test build for about at least 3 months before it goes public.
All right, and so the other question, I was gonna avoid the other question because I know you get asked that probably way too much with the hold notes, because I know it's been brought up numerous times and people have always asked you on it. But the other one has to kind of deal with what you were in the Japan Expo this year in France, and you had a lot of fun there, and it was a very good interview too. If you guys haven't seen that, I definitely suggest going and checking it out, because you do get can't talk, but you do get to learn a lot about the game, and some pretty good questions are answered there too. But we've seen you at a lot of conventions. I know you went to the conventions in Australia as well. But some people in the States and Malaysia, some people in the States are wanting to know if we're ever going to see Peppy at like a Comic-Con or at something like PAX, MagFest or PAX.
I'm hoping to do that next year. Yeah.
All right, that's excellent.
Oh, that's exciting.
Like after going to Japan Expo in France, I really feel like meeting more players, and just because it's so interesting to meet players and hear what they have to say about the game, and like getting feedback directly from them, and just watching people play is so amazing.
I think one of the most remarkable things about that is that these are people from all around the world that you've never met before, and it's just there's so many people everywhere who play the game in every country.
Yep.
But they will definitely love to see you. So now this brings us to our next part, and we're gonna go ahead and open it up, and we'll have our lovely operator Corin move in the people that have questions for you, Peppy, and then basically they'll ask their question, and you just answer it to the best of your ability, and we'll just go up from there. So, Corin, if you've got anybody that has a question, and do try to make sure it's reasonable and not rude. You know, we don't want to make anybody angry, or you get the idea. So let's go ahead and get that started. All right, so it looks like Pillow is first, so we're going to bring Pillow down, and Pillow's got a question for you. And go ahead and move him in now, Corin.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Peppy.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. So my question is a little bit more personal. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Ooh.
What kind?
I like espresso varieties, so either latte, or in Australia we call it flat white, or macchiato, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Ooh. Caramel macchiato is one of my favorites.
Very good caffeine burst, I can see.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Thank you, Philo.
All
no
right.
problem.
And we'll go ahead and move him back. Thank you for the question.
Time for bruises.
All right, and then Kiyanko is our next one, so we'll go ahead and have her pulled down here. All right, Corin, whenever you're ready.
Oh, I'm already here.
Oh, okay.
Can I ask two
fast.
questions? Or should I just keep it to one?
Well, that's up to Peppy, not us.
Go ahead.
Okay, so my first question is that considering that the website has had generally the same layout for quite a while, do you plan on making other changes? Do you plan on making like a new layout for the website?
Yes. We're currently in the middle of doing that. If you've looked at the OS store, like store.ppy.sh, that's the general direction of the design. We've done a lot more than you can see on there already, but it's not finished yet. Hopefully this year that will be done. If it's not done this year, I will be very sad.
And my second question is, when you are coding for OS, what is your preferred food and drink?
I don't know. That varies depending on the day. Yeah. I usually don't eat or drink while coding, so yeah.
Alrighty.
I can imagine.
At the moment, I'm drinking some kind of tea. I don't even know what it is. It tastes good though. It's some variety of some variety of oolong tea.
All right.
Oh,
Thank you, Kiyanko, for the questions, and we'll go ahead and get to our next one. We have a lot of people today. All right.
So many.
Got a full server.
Yeah, it is a full server. All right, Corin, if you would. Pan be next. Okay, so Pan has a question for you.
Hello, I'm Panari.
Hey.
Following Kyunko's first question, are you going to bring the new UI into osu anywhere soon? And will it be skinnable?
Yes, and yes. We haven't finalized the client side. The web is a lot further along in progress, but yeah, the OS UI is going to completely be revamped. I was hoping to do it like as a complete like cut off the old design and go to the new one, but I've kind of been working it into the existing one with the options menu and stuff, so it's heading in that direction. And I think where it is possible to make it skinnable, I will. Yeah.
Okay. And for the second question, is the main menu ever going to be skinnable? Like
Which part of it?
The osu cookie and the buttons.
Yeah, I'm considering that.
Right. Thanks.
Thank you for the question.
All right. Okay, who do we have next, Corn? Oh, it's the Raikou.
Oh, we got Raikou.
And his might. Oh, there he
Hello
goes.
there.
Yeah.
How you doing? Raikou here. So my question is more towards tournament play and how we could. Well, basically my question is how far are you willing to go to make tournaments more sort of advertisable, or to an extent, to have a chance for everyone to get in and put it together so everyone can to produce something that everyone's aware of and everyone can formulate themselves.
So you mean actually having a system for tournaments, that kind of thing?
Yeah, something sort of in-game, a button you can press to set something up, much like multi, but with sort of, I guess, higher stakes involved in a sense.
Yeah, I have two ideas with that. One is, yeah, actually having like a tournament system where you just like click create tournament, set the style of the ladder style you want or whatever, and having it basically run out for you. But at the same time, it's interesting to see all these different tournaments created by people, and there's a lot running. If you look in the tournament the forum, there's a lot of different tournaments running around the world all the time.
Yeah,
So-
there's also quite a few different versions going on. I know that there's a guy called Dren who's done almost a chip-based system in his first round, which is very interesting to see and very fun to play.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a Japanese guy, who is it, Ellie, right now, who's trying to organize a 256 player tournament. I don't think he's hit the player limit yet, so if you can speak Japanese and are interested, you should definitely look into that. But there's some really big tournaments going on, and some people actually manage to like get prizes together quite large. I mean, where I'm able to, I'll contribute prizes as well.
Fantastic.
But the other angle I'm looking at it from is, rather than having tournaments as such, I would rather just increase the size of multiplayer rooms and kind of add features to multiplayer rooms to have them last longer and have more of an ongoing score system for the rooms themselves, just so you can have like
yes.
on-the-spot tournaments with like up to 200 players if you wanted, just in a single room.
So in a sense, to make multiplayer a little bit more varietous in terms of tournament play.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to end up being like really short tournaments maybe, but I think it'll be really fun.
Yeah, worthwhile and fun. Thanks a lot for that.
No worries.
All right.
Cool. Thank you very much, Raikou.
Okay, and Corn's got our next person coming in. I think we've got a good flow going now.
Yeah, I think it's Daru. Yep.
Yep, it's Adaru.
Hey, Peppy.
Hey, Daru. I think
So,
this is the first time we've talked.
Yeah. Nice to meet you.
It's gotta be a first for everything.
But so I have two questions. The first is, from what I understand, you're currently in Japan, correct?
That's right. Yep.
How, if you don't mind me asking, like, how did that come to be? Like, was it because of us, or was it something related to other work that you're doing, or and how do you like it there?
I've always been interested in Japan, like ever since I guess I watched Evangelion in high school, and then I started studying Japanese, and I came to Japan as an exchange student in university, and since then, like, I've been to Japan I think 9 times now, which is pretty insane. So this time I finally decided to stay here for a bit longer and see how it is living over here, and that's pretty much where I am.
Oh, that's really cool. I mean, like, myself, I'm currently studying Japanese, and not as my main study, but like as a language that I'm learning, and I've always wanted to go back there as well. And go back. I've taken a trip there before. But
Yeah.
My second question is, you said before that you're working full time on OS right now. How was that jump like? Like the realization that you the realization that it went from being kind of like a side project to like your full time everything.
Well, it was actually a pretty gradual process because I was working full time at like an IT company in Perth, and then over time, as OS picked up, I kind of cut back my hours to like I changed from being full time to a contractor, and then I just cut back hours as I could until I finally dropped it completely and worked on OS. So it wasn't really a huge like a jump.
Okay, that's cool. So thanks for answering my questions.
No worries.
All right.
Cool, first time talking together. That's great.
Keep them coming, Corin.
One more? Alright.
Okay, it's Pillow,
Pillow
again.
Ohio again. So I have a real question this time. The osu controller, is there any kind of idea of where that's going or when it would possibly we would see something of it?
Yes, that's a good one. I was hoping to be able to bring that up earlier with the tablet question, so it's good you brought that up. I guess I made a YouTube video recently of the controller which some Chinese guys sent to me as a sample.
Okay.
And that's just open source hardware which they've done themselves as a hobby project, but I really think that we need to get something like that done. And I was in discussions with someone back in February of this year to actually put something like that together, so I'm happy that someone else has gone ahead and done that because I really didn't get around to it. But yeah, I'd love to see that happen, and I don't know how soon that can be done, but as soon as possible, I guess.
Actually, I would like to comment on controllers of that nature, as there's the fighting game community which has the customizable joysticks and buttons, and the buttons are often customizable mechanical keys. I think a controller that has 2 mechanical keys of the 4 different colors would be a very popular item, because a lot of people don't want to shell out the money for a mechanical keyboard but want to play OS way better.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what we're talking about. Have you seen the video I uploaded of the?
Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, it
Little
looks really
box
awesome.
of 2 keyboard buttons.
Yeah. What I would really like to do is like have more than 2, so have enough to be able to play Osmania, Tycho, Catch Speed, and OS mode.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I've been talking to Horo a lot, and he made a bunch of keypads with all 4 of the Switch colors, and they're really awesome. So, exactly what Charles said kind of read my mind.
That's awesome. Thank you very much, Philo.
No problem.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Doggy Wolf.
Hello. Hi, Peppy.
Hey.
I just want to ask, what do you think about the current PP system? Because a lot of people say that Hidden and No Mod is really underrated right now, compared to people double typing shorter maps and getting 10 times the PP.
Yeah. Well, I brought up the shorter maps thing with Tom, I think last week, and I think he made a change since then. I haven't looked at how that's affected things, but hopefully that's helped a bit with the map length.
Okay.
Other than that, I agree with you that the current PP system, I mean, any PP system is never going to work with mods in my mind, which is why when I was developing PPV2, I never really released it because I wasn't happy with it. And I think like Tom's implementation is really as close as you're going to get to perfect if you're comparing the same mod, but with multiple mods it's still got its flaws, and I mean everyone has a different opinion on which mods are more difficult.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean the thing I want to do is make separate mod separate chart scoring like rankings, and just keep them separate wherever possible, and not like figure out a way where they're not competing with each other. So it's kind of a more level playfield. I don't know how it's going to be implemented yet, but that's the general direction I want to go.
Okay. Thanks.
Alright, thank you. Alrighty, so we've got Panari wants to ask one more question, and then if we're starting to continue to get repeats, I guess we can wrap things up for the most part. Hello, Panari.
Hello. So I got a question from the stream of my weavers who are watching this interview right now.
Are you streaming?
Yes, I got permission from Corin.
Awesome.
Anyways,
Okay.
what's the situation on the clans of osu right now? Because lots of people want them implemented, including me.
Yep. So I'm not going to call them clans because clan sounds really ugly. So I call them teams. The team system is in development, and the only thing I can say is it won't be released on the current website. It's being made for the new website because a lot of the team stuff is like managing the teams. It's mostly web-based. So it will be released along with the new website whenever that happens.
Alright, thank you.
Alright, we actually have a question from Sticky, who's going to be moved down here in just a moment.
Alright.
Hi.
Hey.
I was wondering, are you ever considering adding more like clothing items to the store in the future, like hoodies or something? And are there gonna ever be more designs or options to customize them, do you think?
Yeah. See, I was hoping to do that with the last, I guess, the reorganization I did of the store, but the guy I had in charge kind of didn't look into that stuff as much as I was hoping he would. So I am currently working with someone else to get a new store setup done. And once that happens, I definitely I have huge ambitions for what kind of merchandise we can have on there. And I think like Luigi has his own ideas as well, like os pillows and stuff. So yeah, I definitely want to see more clothing. I mean, I love my Link Oz hoodie, and I'm sad that we can't really sell that anymore because I think Printfection stopped providing hoodies. Like you can't order them anymore. So yeah, short story, yes.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Thanks.
No worries.
All right. We have
one last repeat.
Yeah, one last repeat, and then we're smooth sailing.
Hi, do you like to cosplay?
No, not really.
Oh.
I don't mind like Nekomimi and just like small things like that, but I'm not gonna fully dress up, no.
I was just curious if you do like big, elaborate ensembles of costumes.
As in actually looking at it or doing it?
Doing it. But also, but also that'd be interesting too. Like, how do you feel about like cosplay? Is it something that you're into with maybe like doing like photographs of instead of doing it like cosplaying yourself?
I mean, I don't mind looking at other people's cosplay. I think that some people do some really good cosplay out there, and I mean, even when back in Australia, I used to volunteer for the local anime conventions and stuff, and yeah, help out where I could. So I've always been around cosplay, and like I've seen some. I do a lot of photography myself, so I really enjoy like photographing other people's cosplay. But I'm not going to do it myself, I don't think.
Yeah. If it's a Sona cosplay, Peppy's gonna love it.
Yeah, Sona cosplay is amazing.
I keep trying to get Z-Trot to cosplay, but he won't.
Nope.
He just wants to be. He just wants to be the Green Ranger.
Yep. Okay.
Alright, yeah.
Green Ranger is cool.
Yeah, the Green Ranger is cool.
He was always my favorite ranger.
I actually got to meet Jason David Frank at one of the conventions I went to, and I was pretty stoked. So
I'll assume that's his actor.
Yes. Yeah, I was pretty stoked.
That's pretty cool. He always drove that car, right? He had a different car from everyone else.
Yeah, he did. He was also, well, he was the green, the white, the red, he was dang near every single one of them. Like, to be quite honest. But, yeah, I mean, I did get to meet him, and that was kind of interesting. All right, well, thank you so much for your question, Kiyanko, and that's going to wrap up our Q&A. This is a little bit on the longer side of an episode, but I think we did really good. And everybody, have a good one, and thank you so much, Peppy, for coming out and spending some of your time today to answer all these questions. We really do appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, well, that's it from this episode of the OS Talk. We'll see you guys next time.
See ya.
Bye now.